Welcome everybody to yet another video with the Tata Curvv. This one though isn't electric because this one runs on dinosaur juice. No electric motors on this one because this has a direct injection petrol engine, and after a very long time we're driving something with a manual. Or you can get a regular turbo petrol or a regular turbo diesel, both also with the manual or the dual clutch option. And if you do want to know more about that diesel, that will be a separate video because today I thought I'd concentrate only on the petrol. For my NCR friends and family, because you guys can't really buy a diesel for the long term. Anyways, what I do want to make a point about is the fact that Tata Motors is the only Indian automaker who's really cracked the dual clutch formula, and now they're offering it with a normal turbo petrol, this direct injection turbo petrol, and the diesel, and that is an impressive feat. You really want to know how this drives now, don't you? No more faff, come on. Okay, so quick first impressions about how the new engine and how the Curvv ICE drives. First and foremost, the petrol engine is quiet. It's not as loud or gruffy as the other petrol engines have been in the past, but at the same time, it's not super responsive either. So if you thought that this direct injection engine was made for performance, for enthusiasts, it actually isn't. The direct injection engine is made because future emission norms will require that technology to meet those emission norms. So it's not based on a performance-oriented sort of angle. It's based more on efficiency and emissions. Exactly why small turbo engines came around in the first place 8, 7, 10 years ago. Now let's not forget, Tata isn't the only manufacturer that makes a direct injection petrol engine. Mahindra of course makes one, and Kia and Hyundai both make one. Now the Kia and Hyundai one are 1 litre turbo petrol direct injection engines, and those make 120 horsepower. This is the mid-level at 125, and the Mahindra one makes 130. It actually pulls really well. I mean, low-end power is great, mid-end power and torque is actually the best, and if you are at a certain RPM, it actually gives you a little bit more torque, so up to 250 Newton meters of torque just for maybe 6 or 7 seconds, so it helps you overtake, or it helps you climb a slope, or it helps you get off the line a little bit quicker. That's a good overboost function that you have in the car. But top end, the one that I like the most, sort of that higher power range, is a little missing. And the other problem is you get a soft limiter. So if you really want to crash the car, if you think you want to drive it as an enthusiast, it's probably not for you. But overall, I mean, driving around on open highways, open roads, small roads like this in rural Goa and in the city, we found that the engine was very responsive, and overall it runs well. While the Tata Curvv's engine is perfect for both city drives and open road adventures, keeping it in top condition over the long run is key. That's why we recommend Castrol Magnatec engine oil. This fully synthetic oil with the latest API specs is designed for your BS6 cars, offering 50% better engine protection and ensuring non-stop protection from every start. What I am not a big fan of though is the gearbox. It's not that it isn't crisp, or it's not that it isn't precise, it's just that it feels a little plasticky at the shifts, When you actually slot it into gear, it feels like it's just got a bit of vibration right at the end, and that puts me off. Also the clutch point, especially when you get off the line, is a little bit off, and I actually stall the car twice, which is something I never do. Or maybe it's my fault. Now another thing I noticed in the electric version, and it's more obvious and more pronounced in this, is that chassis dynamics of a typical Tata Motors chassis is slightly subdued, it's slightly softened down. And I asked the engineers if they've done that, and they said actually they have. They wanted this to be a little bit more comfortable. They wanted this to be a little bit more supple. They just wanted it to be a little more rounded as a product. So you still get the great ride quality, but you don't get that almost exactness that you get in the Nexon or the Punch. And even on these 18-inch wheels, it really does feel comfortable. Now I'm sure the ride quality on the 16s and 17s will be considerably better, but then you do lose the way the car's overall stance is. Okay, since we were talking about the wheels, I think we should start there. Maybe not. Maybe just let's quickly get to the front and talk about the difference between the ICE and the EV, because the only noticeable difference are these little patches here, the big grille with the added cooling vents, and of course the lower grille is a little more open on the ICE as compared to the EV for the extra cooling for the engine. Okay, now coming to the wheels. I have made it a point on PowerDrift to be completely honest with you guys, to be forthwith, to be very vocal with my opinions. I need you guys to tell me if you like those wheels, because in my opinion, I do not like the way they look at all. I mean, there's just so much happening. It looks like a bit of a flower and the highlighted spokes are too thin. Enough of the negatives. Just look at it though. This is what it means for an Indian automaker to mature, for Tata Motors to make a car like that, like the Curvv, that only exists because of the way it looks, that only exists to serve people who like being vain. And look, vain in a good way, because look, vanity, in my opinion, isn't a bad thing. But that doesn't mean it can't do anything else. Actually, it does a lot of things right. It's practical, it's loaded with features that can result in a presentation that is a half an hour long, and despite what people think on the internet, if you are of average Indian height or even a little more, there is enough space in the back.
Action.
क्या फिर से करूँ क्या ये वीडियो के लिए भी?
Cyrus sir, yes, yes. करो.
Again for this video also? देख, एक बार लगा. देख, जनरली तो नहीं लगा, एक ही बार लगा. चल भी कट कर. But the one thing that you have to give credit to Tata Motors for, red interiors on a 20 lakh rupee car. Red interiors. This is the kind of stuff and sort of overall look that you get on a very, very large, very expensive and very, very fast Italian or German GT. On a 20 lakh rupee car. This quality. I am partial towards it because red interiors are some of my favorites. In fact, that's one of the reasons I bought my SL. Of course, this isn't the first Tata to get red inside. The Harrier had it and the Nexon got purple. But to add a bit of color, a bit of life to a generally mundane place, a place where one's life slows down when stuck in traffic jams, a place where one experiences the ups and downs of life through bad roads and potholes, and a place where one weathers all the storms that nature and the Almighty can throw at us. Who would have thought a car like this would make me so philosophical? The Curvv is Tata's true coming-of-age product, slap bang in the middle of the most hotly contested segment in India. It is priced well too. We discounted the Punch when it was launched, saying the engine was poor and it might not sell. We discounted the Nexon, thinking it was essentially old. Both these cars today have been consistent bestsellers. And I, for one, would be very surprised if this doesn't do the same. Okay, it's time for the unscripted section. This is the section that you guys really seem to like. So let me tell you what did actually go wrong and what's really nice, but just in a sort of casual way between two friends talking, right? We had a couple of issues in the car when we started off in the morning. The Apple CarPlay would not connect, but that was sorted out immediately. It did connect after that. some maybe an issue with my cable or something like that. Then I had a weird vibration from somewhere here between 2300 and 2800 RPM. I don't know what it is. They're trying to figure out on the car that we've driven, just to sort of see maybe if something's come loose in the dashboard, or maybe something's loose in the windscreen or something like that, or maybe in the front. And then very briefly for about an hour or so, the power central locking completely failed. So even when you press the lock unlock button, nothing would work. And we had a little ticking sound from somewhere there. So maybe like a servo, or maybe some sort of fuse had conked off. But again, that sort of seemed to self-heal and it worked again. Apart from that, the way the car drives is actually really nice. The interior quality is actually really nice. I really tried to like find like a stray stitch or like a badly put together seam or something like that. I haven't found any of that. Overall, sorry, my phone's beeping here. But overall, it seems like Tata has really gotten stuff right with this car. And I'm still going to sort of go back to that point I made in the ICE video and say that the product is great. What really needs to be sort of hammered into Tata now is the fact that customer service is absolutely atrocious in some cases. There have been so many personal stories that I've heard from very close friends about just a very bad experience at some dealerships when it comes to after sales. So that needs to definitely get sorted. But apart from that, as I say again, product is actually really great. So there you have it. That's the Tata Curvv in its entirety now. I've put all the cards on the table, including the problems we've had. Oh, by the way, in the EV, the DRLs had failed momentarily. It didn't happen in this one at all. So that's definitely been fixed. It was a coding issue apparently for when the indicators come on, that would sort of go off or something like that. And that's now been fixed. So yeah, I mean, definite improvements over what the earlier car was. Again, no lag anywhere. The screen's working fine. Everything else is working fine. Just this central locking issue was very strange. There's sort of looking into it, might be a small fuse or something like that. Okay, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video. There's more Tata Curvv content coming your way, comparos and stuff. And tell me in the comments what do you think of the car and what do you think of the review, of course, as always.